World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. After a week's break, it's time to resume the weekly dirt action here on Wednesday nights. It's round 2 of the Hobbs Trenching and Boring Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 410 Thunder Series, brought to you, of course, by FastPrint Signs and Apparel, DM Simtography, and Wash It Mobile Truck Washing, and supporting Neuro Power. We are racing at I-55 Raceway, full name, of course, Federated Auto Parts Raceway, at I-55 in Pennsylvania. So this is going to be a really awesome Missouri. My apologies, Pearyville, Missouri. Got my names confused there. Gardner Gaff out of the way early. And speaking of, it is myself, Reese Gardner, bringing you this broadcast live across YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And I'm joined, of course, in the commentary box by Jay Kennedy, who is also handling everything behind the scenes. Well, Jay, this is a short, sharp, and fast track here at I-55. Really been looking forward to it for quite some time. I love the high banking of this place, and I love how short the lap times are. We're looking at times of around 10 seconds around here.
Yeah, it's a really fast track, isn't it? It's a really fun track too, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this racing does play out. It's going to be an entertaining night of racing, and we're seeing around about 35-ish cars, 36 cars, so going to be a really entertaining night, to say the least. It's going to be very, very fun, very, very fast, very, very action-packed.
Yeah, absolutely. Last round at Knoxville, it was Riley Bilson who came away with the opening feature win of the season. Will he be able to back that up with another good result here tonight, or will the likes of Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart and Clayton Davies, Clayton Tilley be able to come back and really stamp their mark on this season after a poor opening round? That is the question that we will attempt to answer here tonight. And wow, I'm really looking forward to it because, yeah, judging how the championship standings are looking out of the first round, Jay, things are quite mixed up.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of names that we wouldn't expect to see in the top 10 that are in there at the moment. No disrespect to anyone that's in this top 10, and a lot of names that are missing that we would have expected in that top 10 that are nowhere to be seen. A lot of drivers had horrible weeks at round 1 and will be looking for a lot of redemption tonight, and a lot of drivers had a lot of success taking advantage of those that didn't have any luck at all.
Indeed, and those championship standings are pretty much the exact points that were taken out of the first round for everybody. So Bilson leading by 3 points over Josh Walton, Richie McLeod, Brent Hobbs, and Thomas Mitchell rounding out your top 5 there. Really quite a shocking round at Knoxville, I have to say, because, you know, we came into this season with obviously an idea of who was going to be on top, who was going to be competing for those wins and those podiums, and then it seemed the rug was pulled out from under everyone with some rare mistakes from Tim Ryan in the feature and the other usual championship contenders here at ODSE getting caught up in incidents.
Yeah, exactly right. There was a lot of drivers that were caught up in stuff that, I mean, a lot of that wasn't their own doing, but it still is part of the night, isn't it? You've got to avoid the incidents around you. You've got to take advantage of that when someone else is involved. And if you get involved, you've got to try and make your way forward which is easier said than done throughout a lot of the racing we've seen. So this is going to be a really interesting night of racing, and it's going to be a real mixed-up championship, even with the results from last week. Even if the likes of Tim Ryan and who else, Harry Stewart, those guys have a really good night, they've still got a lot of work to do to catch up to the top of the championship.
Yeah, they do, considering how very narrow the points gaps are awarded between positions, as we saw from those standings. The drivers are just going through their pre-event briefing at the moment, and then we'll hop on into 4 minutes of qualifying, where every driver gets 2 laps to set their time and decide where they will start in the heats. Of course, it follows the usual event format here at ODSE. We have a set of heats, the top 4 from which will transfer straight through to the feature. The rest of them go through to the C main. Top 4 from the C main go to the B main, and then the top however many is needed to make up the grid will make it through to the feature, which is going to be 40 laps here at I-55, which should go by very quickly because, as I mentioned, Jay, this track is ridiculously short. It's only half a K long, and you can carry a lot of speed through these turns.
Yeah, when the track's at perfect conditions, you can do the track in around about 9.2, 9.3 seconds. So we're probably going to see around about 11, 12 second lap times when we get into the race itself, but in qualifying we may see someone break that 10-second barrier, which is incredible to think, but entirely possible that we will see someone break that barrier tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long time since I've seen any racing at this circuit, so seeing 410 sprint cars around here is certainly going to be a feast for the eyes and for the ears. And we didn't really have time to go into it in the first round, Jay. These 410 sprint cars, massive amount of power going through the rear wheels on these things. And of course, they are winged sprint cars, so they produce a metric ton of downforce to make their way through these corners. Really, I-55 is the perfect track for these things.
Yeah, exactly right. It's going to be a fantastic night of racing with the way these cars behave. It's a deceptive circuit as well. It's this deceptive little track. A little bit of banking through the corners, so as you said, you can carry a bit more speed than you think. So we're going to see a lot of high speed. We're going to see a lot of action. We're going to see a lot of side-by-side as well, because this track is one that brings on the side-by-side racing naturally. I was lucky enough to be a part of the iRacing World of Outlaws broadcast for this series when the World Championship was here early this year, and it brought on a fantastic race in the A main there. So looking forward to seeing more of the same as we get into action tonight.
Indeed. Looks like drivers' briefing is over, and we have people out on the track at the moment just working their way into the clay, getting a bit of a groove forming in preparation for qualifying. The track is more or less completely clean when we get into the server, and then they are allowed out to just work the clay a little bit and get the cushion working as well. Over very shortly there for a few drivers, but now we will see who exactly is able to set some good times. And speaking of good times, well, 9.85 seconds for Clayton Davies at the top of the standings. That is ridiculous.
Incredible, isn't it? It's so fast. Going to be some fantastic times throughout the night. So looking forward to seeing the entirety of this night and how it plays out. It's going to be a very, very fun night of racing. Jaden Russell just finishing his lap. Still got a few drivers that haven't posted a lap time yet. Braden Morosky about to cross the line now, and we're not far off getting into qualifying and seeing who can put down quick time.
Yes, Braden Morosky, one of the drivers who will be looking for a little bit better out of the first round at Knoxville. There really were a lot of casualties from that first round of the championship, so this is a good opportunity for drivers to try and get into some kind of rhythm for this season. And it is a pretty short season in the 410 Thunder Series. fact of the matter is we only have 6 rounds of this championship. We go to Lucas Oil for the next round, then we go to Charlotte, Limaland, and Lanier to round out the season. And they'll be coming week on week on week. So there are the results at the end of practice. Looks like Darcy Wilson managed to pull out a nice fast time at the end of that practice session. We'll see if anyone will be able to match or beat that when they get into quick time proper.
Admins are just doing a check to make sure nobody did any extra laps than their allotted amount to ensure that there's no penalties. It looks like there might be a couple that are going to get a penalty for doing too many laps in the practice session. You're only permitted, I think, 3 or 4. Your drivers did. One driver did 9 laps, so they're going to be in a little trouble and get a little slap on the wrist for that.
Yeah, that's obviously not ideal for the driver involved there. Of course, ODSE run a pretty tight ship when it comes to race control and following the rules and all that. And I suppose, you know, the maximum amount of laps allowed in practice rule is to sort of preserve the track for qualifying and just to make sure that drivers, you know, all come in on the same footing. So now it's time for this 4-minute qualifying session. Let's see then who will get the pole position for every single heat. Of course, Tristan Yelland, the Neuro Power Motorsport, out there at the moment. And Tristo is the reason we have Neuro Power on board for the series. Of course, Neuro Power is an organization helping people out with motor neuron disease. And Tristan Yelland is one of the people for whom that affects. So it's really good to see him still out here and competing in the dirt sprint cars. Manages to go 6th fastest to start things off. Harry Stewart already the quickest on a 9.8. Leo Heaton and Sean Stevens make up the top 3 here. And Stewart still on a couple of laps here. Let's see if he can improve on that time. Brady Baldwin goes quicker to a 9.872. Good to see there. And currently, it doesn't look like too many drivers have set times, but we will be seeing those laps tick in here. Brent Hobbs, the owner of Hobbs Trenching and Boring, running the high line on this lap. Let's see if this works out for him. No, 10.0. Well, that is an improvement, but doesn't exactly break him into the top 10. Clayton Tilley's one of the drivers we expect to be up the top here in the number 51. 9.95 for Tilley. So that will put him, oh wow, the gaps are incredibly close here, just on the verge of the top 10 and out of the top 10 now, because there goes Darcy Wilson to 2nd place, only 100th of a second behind Riley Bilson. Oh yeah, there we go. Tilley went faster on his 2nd lap. Awesome to see.
No surprise, Tim Ryan waiting until the very last second to get out there, post his lap time. Isaac Rue's out there at the moment. We'll see what he can do, 10 flat, so we'll see what the time is on the 2nd run. Very, very quick at the moment. Have a look at that. Only 7 thousandths of a second separating the top 3.
Indeed. That was a little bit too much over rotation there for Isaac Roos. That cost him a couple tenths. Yeah, that's incredibly close there in the top 3. There's only 2 thousandths separating Clayton Tilley and Darcy Wilson, which shows you how competitive the feature's going to be. Blaine Densley out on circuit at the moment, and oh goodness, he is really kicking out the rear there, running the low line, which we don't see too often at this circuit. The banking is nice and high up the top, which is why you see most drivers running there. And there is Tim Ryan, World of Outlaws iRacing Sprint Car Champion, and of course a very skilled racer. No surprise to see that he immediately goes to the top of the standings, and by some margin.
Wow.
9.68, nearly 2 tenths clear of the rest of the field.
That's incredible, isn't it? How much quicker than everyone else was he just in that little segment there. That's incredible, the pace that he's got, and well, he's going to deserve quick time for sure.
Absolutely he is. Fantastic stuff. Well, there are the QuickTime standings for you there. Only 4 thousandths between Bilson and Tilly for second, and then a further 3 thousandths back to Wilson. And, I mean, the gaps just continue to look incredibly close here. Van der Wacker not too far off either to round out the top 5 times. Dunn, Baldwin, Schutz, Stewart, and Delamont rounding out your top 10. It looks like Stewart and Delamont set the exact same time there. And, in fact, you can even go back to Cooper Wilson in 11th. All 3 of those drivers ran a 9.886.
It's amazing, isn't it, how close everyone is, and going to be some brilliant racing when we come into it in just a few moments' time. Heat 1 not too far off. It's going to be absolutely intense. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and you're about to get your mind blown when the grid comes up on screen.
Oh yeah, let's see then. So Tim Ryan is going to start off here. Wow, that's cool. Tim Ryan P1 with Cooper Dunn joining him on the first row, sorry. Cooper Wilson and Thomas Mitchell, third and fourth. Ethan Bastian and Brent Hobbs lining up together on the third row with Nathan Allen and Braden Morosky rounding out the 8 cars that will take to the grid here for the first heat at I-55. Yeah, you're right, Jay. My mind was blown. Really love the work that you're doing with the overlays here.
Oh, look, I can't take any credit for that, but yeah, that's very, very cool. I'm loving what ATVO is being able to put out, and big thanks to them for their hard work behind the scenes and releasing new content for us iRacing broadcasters. It's going to be very, very cool to see what comes from that. But yeah, I just wanted to show you how cool that looked. It was pretty impressive. I loved it.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Well, we will see now who comes away with victory in this first heat. It's only 8 laps, and the heat should only take, well, just under 1.5 minutes, I suppose. 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Minute 18, my prediction says.
Yeah, righto. So we are going to be going through these heats incredibly quickly here, and we won't have any time to breathe. But when do we? When we're broadcasting ODSE events. So Tim Ryan will be controlling the start from here as the pace truck pulls into the pit lane. Running middle to high there. He's on the slick groove, which might hurt his traction, but no, the jump is with him. Unfortunately, going straight back to 4th place there. Oh, goodness, it's already gone off. Brent Hobbs into the wall, and it looks like the same could be said for Ethan Bastian too, and it seems his suspension on the right rear is completely gone. You see his left front lifting in the air. He's having a lot of trouble keeping that car under control, but he should be able to come back to the finish. So Tim Ryan leading by 0.8 of a second. A pretty dominant run so far. Cooper Wilson moving up into second place, but he's gotten into the wall. 140 is going to lose that second spot, and moving on through will be Nathan Allen into second place. Cooper Wilson and Cooper Dunn now fighting over 3rd and 4th. And remember, 4th is the transfer spot. The top 4 go straight through to the feature. Braden Morosky is a bit far off Cooper Dunn right now, so I don't think they'll be under much threat unless there is some kind of mistake. So let's see how they go here as they enter the final 2 laps. Jaden Russell in the... Oh, sorry, Braden Morosky in the number 27. Of course, we've got multiple drivers running the same number in ODSE, which makes things a bit confusing for a guy like me who's used to road racing, but checkered flag is flown, and Tim Ryan takes the win in the first heat here. Allen, Wilson, and Dunn will join him in transferring straight through to the feature here at I-55. And a shame for Ethan Bastian and Thomas Mitchell, unfortunately not able to make it to the finish thanks to that crash that we saw on lap 1. But regardless, that's how things are going to stack up. Meanwhile, here's how things are going to stack up in Heat 2. We're straight through to it. The number 95 of Riley Bilson is going to lead them away alongside Series Administrator Brady Baldwin, with Cameron De Bruin and Nathan Norman 3rd and 4th in the number 13 and the number 96. Just behind them, we're going to have Cole Ferguson and Robert Crawley rounding out the top 6, and then rounding out our cars is going to be Robert Crawley and Corey Borden in the 35 and the 07 in sim, at least 7 and 10 on the cars. All right, We're going to get a replay here, Jay, of exactly what happened there on that Heat 1 start.
Yeah, so it's at the exit of turn 2. You'll notice that Bastion on the inside, and then you see the 65 making contact. I think it was with the 14. So I don't think there's too much that anyone did too wrong there. It's just an unfortunate incident. Lap 1, everyone close by, and ends in tears.
Yeah, that's racing at super short tracks like this one. So now we think about this second heat. Riley Bilson, of course, is the winner of the feature at round 1, so he's got a lot to think about here. He's going to have to try and get the best start he can and run away from the rest of the field if he wants any chance of repeating that success. But Brady Baldwin, pretty familiar with dirt racing and very quick driver himself as the green flag flies, but Baldwin is under threat from Cameron De Bruin on the low line. Bilson has not been able to get away like Tim Ryan did in Heat 1. They briefly go 3 wide for the lead of the race. Baldwin is committing here to the low line, but Bilson, it seems the momentum is with him there as he is feeding the right rear into the wall. It is on for 4th. Look at this, Jay. Fantastic 4-way fight here with Cole Ferguson fending off Nathan Norman.
Great little battle, isn't it? So good to watch these guys going at it.
Oh no, slider gone wrong.
That's Cole Ferguson just launching it as it's changed for the lead as well. At the same time, Brady Baldwin threw on Riley Bilson. We were going to have a little look at what just happened back there, but we're going to go back to the front because Bilson's made a huge error and he's losing heaps of ground.
Yeah, he is. He's right in the midst of it now. De Bruin is starting to catch up to him too. It looks like Bilson ran a little bit too deep into the corner and banged up against the wall. That lost his momentum and it allowed Baldwin to go through. Now they're having to deal with some traffic here in the last couple of laps of the heat. All Baldwin has to do now is keep it together. That's Cole Ferguson, who's gone a lap down now, but there won't be too much trouble there. Everyone's giving each other some good space. Bilson might be coming back at Baldwin here in the final corner of the race. Who's going to take it? It is going to be Brady Baldwin by a car length or so.
What a race that was. That was... I mean, it went all done by the time we realised that it was going, but what a fantastic little race that ended up being. Baldwin picking up the win by nothing, but those guys in the mid-pack definitely put on a little bit of a show there. This is crazy racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame for Nathan Norman, who ultimately is the last classified driver. Well, not even. He started in 4th place, so if he'd held on to that, then he could potentially have been able to make a straight through into the feature. But as it stands, those bottom 4 drivers will have to work their way through the C main and B main for any chance at a full result here tonight. Time for the 3rd heat then. And this is quite a stacked one. Clayton Tilley and Braden Shute are going to line up on the first row here with the 007 of Nick Ryan starting alongside former ODSE race winner Richie McLeod. Clayton Davies and Travis Parrott are going to be 5th and 6th. Really looking forward to seeing what Davies can do there starting from the top 5. And then the field is rounded out by John Schultz and Tristan Yelland on the back row. Another 8 cars taking to the start here.
Just got confirmation from that incident. We saw that there's a penalty for Nathan Norman for loss of control, which caused that incident, and that's why Ferguson made contact. So that's the decision from race control. That's going to make it a little bit harder for Nathan Norman to come back through when we get into the C main in just a moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely flying by, isn't it? we're almost at the C main. It'll probably be less than 10 minutes, if that. So, everyone bunches up now. It's looking like with the amount of cars that have turned up for this round, we're going to get 5 heats. So we got 2 more after this one. Let's go then. Clayton Tilley leads them away. Braden Shute, unfortunately, not getting the best of starts, but an even worse one there for for Nick Ryan, ending up falling behind Braden Shute there. A little bit of fanning out, and looks to me like Tilley has got this one down pat as Shute suffers a little bit of an issue. Slid a bit too much there on the slick, and he is under pressure from Nick Ryan here, who's trying his best to get into second place. Clayton Davies, though, making up a position, and he is trying to go for third. Davies now holds on to that last spot on the transfer, but too much of a slide that lets Richie McLeod back through. It was McLeod that I think had the biggest of those issues on the first couple of laps.
Yeah, Davies has gone from 6th up to 3rd, and now he's dropped back to 5th again. He's going to have to work again to try and get that last transfer spot, but a little bit of a mistake there from Richie McLeod, who's really struggling to get the car turned. 2 laps to go. And again, Davies is back into now 2nd position. Clayton Tilley's checked out, but this transfer spot is not done here between McLeod, Travis Parrott, Nick Ryan. Travis Parrott's come from nowhere, white flag.
Yep, it's all going to be over in just a few seconds. Looks like Clayton Tilley's going to take it here by quite a margin. Davies second, Shoot third, and Nick Ryan just beats Richie McLeod to the line with a bit of contact to boot.
Get a look at that in just a second, but here's the results from that heat. Have a look at that gap at the line. Nick Ryan over Richie McLeod by, what's that, less than a 10th of a second, less than a 100th of a second.
Yeah, wow.
Is that 100?
That's incredible.
Less than a 10th.
Yeah.
800ths of a second. My brain is obviously fried. We've had a big day today, Reese, so I think we're forgiven.
Yeah, I think we can be indeed. Oh well, at least everyone made it to the finish that time. Here is the grid for the next heat. Darcy Wilson versus Harry Stewart on the front row for Heat 4. Brenton Hobson lines up the 88 alongside Sean Stevens in car 26. Then we've got Isaac Roos and Aston Hurley on the third row with Bo Nation and Daniel Boyd rounding out the field here. Beautiful, colourful field always turns up to these ODSE run events. Let's see which of them is going to survive this heat without a couple of dings and dents in the steel.
Hopefully none. Hopefully we'll see all of them survive with, well, no, not hopefully none. Hopefully all survive. I got it out eventually, didn't I? Oh, jeez. Yeah, as I just said, we've had a long day, but yeah, that's a Kennedy gaff there. Lots of fluoro yellow in this one. The Dayglow yellow is popular in this field as we go green.
We do indeed. Darcy Wilson on the inside into the first turn, but have a look at the run round the high line from Harry Stewart. He's keeping that nice and smooth in the number 11. Brilliant stuff. And he goes through to the lead. It looks like the mid to low line is starting to fall out of favour. Sean Stevens now demoting Darcy Wilson back to third, and then to fifth. As going on through was Brenton Hobson and Isaac Roos, who are now battling over third place. And the transfer spot could be Aston Hurley's for the taking. Oh, there we go.
Heavy impact in the wall there for Brenton Hobson, but he's going to continue on. But he's just gone from 3rd to 7th in a flash. Does get himself back up a spot, but Darcy Wilson really struggling, then just gets cleaned up there by Bo Nation, who I think might be about to give up the car. Only 3 laps to go. This race is flying by as well.
Yeah, goodness me. It looks like the top two have broken away from the rest of the field. Stewart and Stevens keeping it nice and smooth up the top. And Roos holding on to third nicely. It is still on for fourth, though. Aston Hurley, with just 2 laps to go, has to face pressure from Daniel Boyd and the recovering Brenton Hobson. Look at the pace that Hobbo is making up here on these two guys. This is looking pretty fantastic. But Brenton unfortunately loses out a bit there as we're on board with Boyd. He goes for the inside on the final lap. Checkered flag for Harry Stewart. Sean Stevens, Isaac Roos and Aston Hurley will round out your top 4 there. It was only 2 tenths in it between Hurley and Boyd.
And Boyd and Hobson and Wilson and Nation all going to go through the C and B mains, but Stewart, Stevens, Roos and Hurley, they'll go through to the A straight away and have a little bit of a rest for not that long because, as we said, this night will fly by and has been flying by. We get into our final heat already. You know what the crazy thing is? We've already seen 32 laps of racing and it feels like we've only just started the stream.
Yeah, we only went live half an hour ago and we've only been racing for about 15 minutes. Well, here's the final heat lineup. Nathan Van Der Acker alongside Jackson Delamont for the front row. Then Leo Heaton and Joe Daly will line up alongside each other on row 2. On the third row, it's going to be the number 15 of Hayden Vickers and the number 27 of Jaden Russell. Both drivers who definitely have great pace in these events, but have bad luck more often than not. Blaine Densley is going to be the final car starting here. And of course, the 003 is Damien, who is race control here at Oceanic Dirt Sim events. They're in the session as drivers just to allow them a little more flexibility, I suppose.
It just gives them a chance to actually interact a bit easier with the drivers. Big shout out to the guys that are in race control: Liam James, Glenn McLeod, Damien Pohl, all in race control, sitting in the booth and happily texting me midway through the races. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing that they're messaging me midway through race. I mean, they're keeping me in the loop, but
I think they haven't had to do much deliberation so far. We have seen black flags. Yeah, so far, of course. We have had black flags for a few drivers, but those were pretty cut and dry incidents. So race control evidently not too flustered right now, but we'll see what happens when we get into the feature and we have the potential for cautions. Either way, it's time for Van der Wacker and Delamont to lead them away here for the final 8 laps of heat racing before we get into the 12-lap C main. Who is going to get the best jump here? Van der Wacker should get the best jump here, being the pole man, and he does indeed. Immediately goes to the high line and is followed closely by Delamont on the high line. But Leo Heaton is working low, and he seems to be making it work, at least in the mid-corner. They come so close to making contact, and the bottom 3 come together. Blaine Densley, Joe Daly, and Jaden Russell, unfortunately losing touch with the top 4.
Hearing as well, the start is under review from race control, whether that was done within the start zone. So this may be a review incoming into the start of that race. It looks like it's been approved as A-OK, so right on the edge of where you're allowed to start the races. This battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and now 5th is incredibly good. Van der Wacker just checking out, and here comes Blaine Densley trying to get through, gets a spot, but loses it straight back.
Yeah, well, Densley definitely showing that he has what it takes to finish in the top 4 here. Jackson Delamont will be looking over his shoulder, and he would have to anyway, because these cars don't have rear view mirrors.
Right, no mirrors in these things, so you're running on feel, and a lot of drivers don't run virtual mirrors either. They just run on the feel, run on the audio, run on the relative box, so they understand their car position from that. White flag in the air, though. This is a huge result here for Nathan Van der Wacker, who is flying out there.
Yeah, absolutely dominant run there by 1.6 seconds. He is going to take victory with Leo Heaton second. Hayden Vickers completing the heat podium. It looks like Jackson Delamont finishing about 5/10 ahead of Blaine Densley to round out the top 4 there. Everyone else, well, that's going to be Densley, Russell, and Daly will have to take part in this race coming up now. The C main, 9 cars here. And it's going to be headed up by Ethan Bastian and Daniel Nickel, with John Schultz and Bo Nation taking up row 2, Joe Daly and Thomas Mitchell 5th and 6th. Then we got Nathan Norman and Tristan Yelland in 7th and 8th. And the 9th and final car will be Darcy Wilson, who ended up getting a black flag for the incident that eventuated in Heat 4. So,
also just hearing that Joe Daly did receive a penalty right at the end of that last race as well for a slide job gone bad too. So
yes,
there's a few drivers that will be shuffled to the back of the field in this heat when we get into it in just a moment's time, as they roll off on this C main. 12 laps, top 4 go through into the B main. From there, top 4 from the B will go into the A main. See 24 cars race off for round 2's championship points.
Absolutely. And there's a lot on the line here in both of these races. I mean, it's the C main is always a very tense race, because you are not racing for an outright feature slot. You're racing for the right to race for the feature.
Exactly right. You're racing to stay in the night, aren't you? You're not racing for points. You're not racing for wins. You're just racing to keep racing in the night. So they're just sorting out some EOLs at the moment. Hopefully we don't see any drivers get any penalties. To get ready to go green, and that got very, very messy very, very quickly.
Yeah, it did indeed. Looked like a couple end of lines still being sorted out as the green flag waved, but it looks like Ethan Bastian is the one to get away the best. Second place, Daniel Nickel, but it's assumed by John Schultz. This is a very tight battle here for the last 3 positions in the top 4. Currently, it is Schultz, Nickel, and Wilson. But have a look at Thomas, Mitchell, Bo Nation, and Nathan Norman. They are right with these guys, and it's 3 wide there for one of the last positions on track, and contact is made. Bo Nation coming down into Nathan Norman, and it looks like Thomas Mitchell just about got it done too. Oh no! Oh dear, that's no good there. Issues continuing. John Schultz, meanwhile, taking the lead from Ethan Bastian for just a moment. It's a tight battle here for the top 3, and it looks like 4th place Daniel Nickel has nothing to worry about right now.
Yeah, Nickel's got it all smooth sailing at the moment, so these guys are now just going to fight for the scraps, I guess, the positions in the race. Now, I just want to say apologies for not having gaps up on screen. The track is that short that the iRacing sim doesn't send data because it's so short. So that's how fast the lap times are. 11.3 seconds for the guys last lap by in this group. So incredibly fast.
Yeah, ridiculous stuff. You notice that there is a strip of fresh clay right down at the bottom that Ethan Bastian is using. He's obviously preparing a bit for the B main of the feature with that, but these two fighting over second. They are right in the middle of the big slick expanse that takes up the top, I'd say 3/4 of this racetrack. John Schultz versus Darcy Wilson for P2. This is fantastic, and we only have 2 laps to go now. They're starting to gain a little bit on Ethan Bastian when they come into the corners, but Ethan on the fresh clay down bottom is getting great traction, and he leads across the line to start the final lap here. Is there going to be a Hail Mary move by John Schultz to take this victory? Probably not. It's not worth doing it in the C main. Wait for the feature, and that is where it's going to end up. Oh, very close.
Very close in the end.
Yeah, actually, it looks like Thomas Mitchell actually taking 4th place there by the skin of his teeth, no less. That was a very interesting finish there. Ethan Bastian, John Schultz, Darcy Wilson, and Thomas Mitchell will transfer through to the B main. We will say goodbye to Daniel Nickel, Nathan Norman, Joe Daly, Tristan Yelland, and Bo Nation, who has already left the server. Okay, it's time for the B main now, Jay. And what a field this is going to be. Braden Morosky and Corey Borden will line up on the front row. Meanwhile, in the second row, it's going to be Richie McLeod and Daniel Boyd. Very close match there. Blaine Densley and Brent Hobbs 5th and 6th, with Cole Ferguson and Travis Parrott taking up 7th and 8th. Brenton Hobson and Jaden Russell will round out the top 10 places, and then it's our top 4 from the C main. Bastian, Schultz, Wilson, and Mitchell. 14 cars taking to the grid here. Only 4 will make it through to the feature.
Have a look at this last lap from Thomas Mitchell to make it into the feature as well. Just held the position at the entry, but then got the momentum, rides the wall perfectly, and just steals a spot right at the end. So well done to him to take that spot. He probably thought at the start of the last lap, I'm going to have to go all out to try and make it through, and somehow did it. So well done to him. The disappointing thing for him is he's got to do it all again, but he has got a couple more laps this time. 15 laps and only 4 go through.
Oh boy. Now, I'd find it difficult to pick a winner out of all of these guys. Seems like, the vast majority of these drivers can conceivably make it through. We've got drivers looking for redemption here. Brenton Hobson, Ethan Bastian, John Schultz, Darcy Wilson. Richie McLeod starting in 3rd place. He'll be looking for a spot in the feature. Right now, though, it seems like Braden Morosky, starting on the pole, will have the advantage starting here. And we are away. On the throttle we go. And Morosky leads into the first corner. Already we're seeing slipping and sliding throughout the back half of the field, and contact for 4th place. Goodness me, this is quite close. Hobson already making his way up through the field. Look at the speed from that bright green Synergy 88. He's already up to 4th.
Making big inroads very quickly, isn't he? He's moving all the way up through the field, and you see there too, their front three, they're battling extremely hard as Blaine Densley just gets past Hobson, and here comes the cars of Darcy Wilson and Corey Bowden. Remember, Bowden started in 2nd, but he's dropped all the way back now down to 8th position. Blaine Densley sets the fastest lap of the race.
It looks like Densley's the one with the pace here, but he's only 200ths faster than Richie McLeod, and Daniel Boyd up the front. Oh no, that was Brent Hobbs finding himself on his roll hoop there. It's a big shame for him. He's going to be out. It looks like Corey Borden is out as well. Jaden Russell has faced an issue too. It looks like all of those drivers coming on some kind of issue on the 5th lap of this race. But Boyd is under so much pressure for victory here. This is actually the battle for the lead that we're looking at right now.
Incredible, isn't it? Oh no.
No.
Densley, Morosky, who else is in that? Darcy Wilson, all involved in that. Somehow Hobson, somehow Bastian, somehow Parrott made it through. They continue on, but the battle is not done for potential podium spots, but the top 4 might be okay.
Yeah, looking like it. The top 4 have broken away from the rest of the field now. It is between Brenton Hobson and Ethan Bastian for 3rd place. Travis Parrott has a lot of time to make up if he wants to get into that 4th place. So does Thomas Mitchell, who's just passed him for 5th. Coming up very soon to the end of this race. We only have 4 to go. And it seems to me that McLeod looking comfortable down on the bottom, but it's always disconcerting when you see drivers running the high line and carrying all that momentum onto the straights. McLeod seems safe, though.
Yep. I think everyone seems safe because you look, there's 5th of Mitchell, and he's a fair way behind Hobson. So I think Hobson's safe. Boyd's safe as well. Richie McLeod, he'll be happy to make it through. It's what order these guys are going to start the A main in. I think they're all going to try their best to keep out of each other's way.
All right, 2 laps to go. Coming up to 1 to go here. And Daniel Boyd is way out in the lead. It will be on for 2nd, though, because Ethan Bastian is starting to get caught up here. Just made his way past Richie McLeod round the outside, but it looks like he'll be able to get it. Daniel Boyd takes the checkered flag. Ethan Bastian, Richie McLeod, and Brenton Hobson will join the feature grid. Unfortunately, we will say goodbye to Thomas Mitchell, Travis Parrott, John Schultz, Cole Ferguson, Blaine Densley, as well as Darcy Wilson, Jaden Russell, Corey Borden, and Brent Hobbs. Quite a few names there that we would expect to see on a feature grid, unfortunately out.
Yeah, and I'm sure those guys will be really disappointed with how that race has played out too, but we'll try and get a look at it in just a second, because that's going to be a lot to unpack for race control as well, because there was a lot going on in that incident they will need to re-look at and evaluate as well. So I don't think everything's as clear cut. Actually, there's 2 incidents that race control are going to have to look at here. So I've just found another one that happened midway through that race. This is lap 4. So we saw Corey Bowden, how he dropped down the field. This is so there's a little bump there on the side, and then it's average, and then we're going to see there's Hobbs ending up on his roof.
So it was Jaden Russell who got into him. Wow. All right. Yeah, that did look a bit average, and not much news on Darcy Wilson's role in any of those incidents.
I do know that they're reviewing that. I do know that that's being reviewed right now. Yeah.
Apparently, Wilson made some displeasure clear on the radio and got his chat disabled for that. And this is what happened. Yeah, that was very messy.
Very, very lucky for Ethan Bastian. That could have been really bad really quickly. So he'll be thanking his lucky stars that he made it through, but he almost didn't.
Yeah, almost. Well, We'll take a small breather and step aside briefly here on SimSpeed TV. We do have the feature coming up for the Hobbs Trenching and Boring ODSE 410 Thunder Series here at I-55 Raceway. 40 laps of sprint car action coming up soon.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
You're watching the ODSE 410 Thunder Series here on SimSpeed TV. Round 2 at I-55 in Pevely, Missouri. This has certainly been a round where there's been quite a bit of drama in the heats and in the consolations as well. And we are in for an electric feature, which is going to be headed up by Tim Ryan and Brady Baldwin. Front row start for Brady. He'll be happy with that one. Clayton Tilley and Harry Stewart are going to take up the second row here, with Nathan Van Der Wacker and Nathan Allen sharing the third row. Riley Bilson, round 1 feature winner, starts alongside Clayton Davies on the 4th row of the grid, with Sean Stevens and Leo Heaton rounding out the top 10 places. Then we've got Cooper Wilson and Cameron De Bruin lining up together. Behind them, it's going to be Braden Shute and Isaac Roos, with Hayden Vickers and Cooper Dunn 15th and 16th. Robert Crawley and Nick Ryan 17th and 18th on the grid. And just behind them, Aston Hurley and Jackson Delamont, 2 drivers who will be looking to work their way up here. Daniel Boyd and Ethan Bastian together here, with Richie McLeod and Brenton Hobson rounding out our 24 cars. And those last 4 drivers who finished into the top 4 in the B main, they are ones we'd expect to at least be in the midfield of a feature, Jay. So this is going to be... wow, I don't even have the words. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, insane's probably the best word to describe it. It's going to be fast, it's going to be action-packed. If we stay green, we're looking at about a 6.5-minute race. I don't think we will stay green. I can't see that happening. Now, interesting to note, you see Tim Ryan has instantly chosen the outside line. Of course, in ODSE, the leader can choose which line or which row they go. So he's chosen to go outside. He's forced Brady Baldwin to the inside. So you notice that while... Tim Ryan is P1. He's actually starting in what would technically be P2, but obviously that is a much smarter choice considering what we've seen the trackware be.
Yep, and instantly we see the effect of that. That's a brilliant start from Tim Ryan as we go green for the first time, and there's a lot of jostling back in the pack, but it seems like the top 5 are pretty good. Caution already out. We've got a driver down against the wall. It's Sean Stevens, who unfortunately was involved in an incident. And the caution already out on the first lap here. Looks to me like it was contact between Stevens and Clayton Davies. And unfortunately, Nathan Allen got involved in all of that as well, which is what turned around the car down at the bottom there of Sean Stevens. Here's how it happened. Bam.
Something else that happened there too. I'm not sure exactly what car that was. The orange car. Is that the... I can't remember. I'll have to find it. But there was another incident there too. It may have been Hayden Vickers that was involved in something as well.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
All right. A little bit more to dissect here. So we look at the number 15. And, oh, okay.
So he's just gone to avoid that incident and just made contact, I think.
Yeah, making contact with the number 13 of Cam De Bruin. So, a couple of incidents happening separately, but more or less at the same time to bring out that caution. And it looks to me as though I haven't seen any confirmation from race control that restarts have been changed to single file, but the drivers are touring around in single file. We'll see whether or not that extends to the restart.
I think it might just be single file by default at this circuit. I'm not sure. We'll see if one of the guys in race control, I know they'll be listening in to us jibber jabbering away, so they'll shoot a message through in a minute and confirm that for us. But we're going to go green this time, and it will be a single file restart.
All right. Well, I think that's for the best, really, because can you imagine a double file restart around this place? I
don't want to imagine it.
Yeah. Perish the thought indeed. Well, Tim Ryan will take the restart here. The green flag flies, and we're back to racing to start the second lap that counts. And it looks like Brady Baldwin's holding on nicely to second, but he is under a lot of pressure from Clayton Tilley. They are both working the low line, and there is almost a look at Tim Ryan there from Brady Baldwin as the car's tumbling up and over. Who on earth is that? Nathan Allen. His rear wing is gone. That car will take no further part tonight. And it looks like neither will Braden shoot, maybe? No, he's able to actually get it going again.
Oh, wait. That was quick, but wasn't what we were expecting to see there at all. So, crazy little start, or restart, I should say. And now Nathan Allen somehow found himself upside down. You can pick up what happened.
Yeah, looks like Allen's in the pits, and so is Riley Bilson for some reason. So here's what happened to Allen. Oh,
well, that's why Bilson is.
Yeah, all right. Massive contact between the two cars, and yeah, once the top wing goes on one of these cars, there is no way you'll be able to drive it in that condition. Unless you wanted to turn it into a wingless sprint race, which this certainly isn't.
Yeah, you don't want to be running a wingless versus a wing sprint, do you? And this is what happened to Cara Braden Shoot. And that was a second incident there for Riley Bilson. So that's potentially why he's had to come in and use that spare car. Because every driver in ODSE racing is allowed a spare car, but you're only allowed to use it within a certain segment of the race. So I think by lap 25 in this one, you can no longer jump into the pits and use it. So it's just to encourage a few more drivers to finish the race.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, double file restart we're back to now. It was a glitch that should have been a double file before, but we're now a double file this time to try it out.
Okay, cool. Let's see what happens then. Riley Bilson.
Mayhem, probably.
Yeah, of course. Well, Riley Bilson's going to have to work his way through that mayhem because he's been given an end-of-line penalty for his part in that incident. Back to green flag then. Tim Ryan leads into the first corner, but once again, Clayton Tilley and now Harry Stewart as well, piling the pressure on the number 7 of Brady Baldwin. This is fantastic, and it looks like a pretty clean start from everyone, but we'll have to wait to give it a couple of laps, see if we can settle in to some kind of green flag run here. It looks like everyone's gotten the start nerves out of their system, at least for now.
Just as you say that, Sean Stevens and Daniel Boyd have come together at the exit of the entrance to turn 3, so something more has happened there, and into the pits you can see Sean Stevens comes. He's got only 3 wheels rotating on that car at the moment.
Yeah, poor Sean Stevens, already involved in one incident so far tonight.
Hasn't had the best luck, has he?
No, and it looks like he didn't have any real part to play in this incident at all. It was started by Daniel Boyd and Aston Hurley banging wheels.
Just the innocent bystander there, wasn't he? Had nowhere to go and no involvement at all. So we'll get another look at that in a sec.
We will indeed. Some talk going on in race control. There's the initial contact, or it's going to happen here. And then, yeah, Sean Stevens. Looked like he tried to go to the inside, but I think at that point, it was just too late to react.
I think we might be going back to single file again. We're just waiting for confirmation to come through, but they're just extending the caution by an extra lap just to decide what they're going to do. I think the admins are split on what the right call to do. And in my opinion, I don't know if there is a right or wrong decision here. I think that the racing just feels a little bit messy, a little bit heated either way. I don't think a single or double file restart's going to change the mindset of a few drivers.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one, Jay. We've had a go at a single file restart. We've had a go at a double file start and a double file restart, and it seems we've gotten the same result either way. So
Gonna go one more double.
Yeah, righto. Give it one more go, and then if we get another big incident, then it'll be back to single file.
We did get 2 laps on that one, so I guess that's more positive than the one that we got on our single file restart.
Yeah, that's true. Well, away we go again. Thousands of horsepower being laid down on the slick clay there. This time, Brady Baldwin, it looks like he might just lose second place to Clayton Tilley here. He is under pressure. And caution back out. Looks like Cameron De Bruin has ultimately been one of the worst affected by a big pile-up, actually, that happened in the back of the field. It seems that it was started with Jackson Delamont having a big slide down low, and Ethan Bastian collected him.
Bastian had nowhere to go in that incident too, that you'll see in just a moment. So it's been a bit of a crazy night. This is uncharacteristic for this series too. So there's the little slide. Bastian nowhere to go. And he goes, and then Delamont just getting there at the last second with nowhere to go and makes contact with Hayden Vickers.
Yeah, Vickers and also Braden Shute ended up getting caught on the periphery of that incident. So they have fallen down the order as well. So in the midst of all of this, we haven't seen much in the way of big gainers in position. I suppose Jackson Delamont would have been the exception to that. Otherwise, we've been seeing drivers gaining and losing, 5, maybe 6 positions.
There you go.
We have had some big losers, though. There we are. Most positions gained. Yes, Jackson Delamont up 10, McLeod up 9. Yeah, good to see. And
Look at all these new things I can show you, Reese.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's what I expected, I think, from Richie McLeod. He has a habit of being able to work his way up through a field. Back to green flag racing then. Let's begin the 9th lap here. And already trying to feed the right rear to the wall was Harry Stewart, and nearly came unstuck there. But he keeps it going, and that's some nice momentum from the number 11. Baldwin still holding on to second place here, and Harry Stewart making a very big run here on this particular restart. This could be big here for the number 11. Tim Ryan, meanwhile, in the number 98, untroubled out in the lead. He's actually continuing to extend the gap here. Seems that he's got a good handle on that car as we look further back through the field. Plenty of battling for just about every position out there.
Yep, it's cool to see so many battles going on out on circuit at the moment. Brady Baldwin, though, is in an intense battle. I'm going to go back to the front for a moment because Brady Baldwin is not getting this as easy as he would like. Interesting that race controls also come down on the drivers, telling them to basically be quiet and just race. It's getting very, very heated out there.
Well, there's the slide up from Clayton Davies, trying to get past Harry Stewart for a spot on the podium as we look at Cooper Wilson trying to race for 5th spot. And Davies versus Stewart. Seems that Davies has gotten it for the time being, but perhaps a little bit too sideways on the entry. Gives a slight advantage to Stewart, who goes for the slide up. Is he going to make this work? It's so difficult, even at a short track like this, to hold on to a position after you've done a slide job. They're just crisscrossing now.
Yeah, they are, and what that does, it sacrifices time to those around them as well. So the guys behind are starting to bunch up. Brady Baldwin is starting to bridge a big gap now. This battle for 3rd is getting quite heated now.
Yeah, coming into it now is Cooper Wilson
traffic.
And Clayton Tilley, and some lap traffic to boot as well, yes. It looks like Nathan Allen and Cameron De Bruin have found themselves right in the midst of all of this. They're going to stay low, try their best to at least, and allow these guys to use the high line to get past them, as there's a potential slider almost from Cooper Wilson on Clayton Tilley. The caution is back out. There's been a problem.
Oh, no!
And oh, yeah.
That's Clayton Tilley.
Yep.
In the side of, I think that's Daniel Boyd's car.
Yeah.
So Boyd lapped down, and Clayton Tilley's made contact with him, and is now going to find himself way back in the field.
Yeah, and actually Boyd was stopped there before Tilly came on the scene. It looks like there was another incident. Oh, yeah. Daniel Boyd coming together with Braden Shute.
Before that, he was in the side there with Hayden Vickers in the orange car, and you just see him drift up and then nowhere to go. He's already on the brakes, on the anchors, couldn't get anywhere or around anywhere to potentially avoid contact. That's just so unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely is.
He's actually quit the race, Clayton Tilley.
Yeah, Clayton Tilley deciding to call it a night after that. Looks like quite a few drivers very unhappy with how events have been proceeding tonight.
Hayden Vickers given an end-of-line penalty for causing that incident as well. So no surprise, considering that incident was started from him.
Well, Tim Ryan far and away from any kind of trouble for the time being, at least. Remember, he crashed out of the lead at Knoxville, so he'll obviously have that in his mind to some extent. We'll have to make sure not to feed it too much into the wall here at I-55. Single file restart, I believe, and we just heard from race control. We're going to go green this time by. And we are now past, apparently, the limit for using your fast repairs. Any driver that has a huge crash from now on is out. And the green flag flies again. Brady Baldwin under a lot of pressure from Harry Stewart once again. This time Clayton Davies and Cooper Wilson join the party right away. Oh, there goes Baldwin. Fed the right rear into the wall a bit too much there. And he's lost second place to Harry Stewart. Can he get the run around the outside to try and get this back from Mr. Stewart?
A little bit of contact there from Cooper Wilson into the back of Clayton Davies too. So a little bit of argy-bargy going on. Tim Ryan's just checking out. He's loving what he's seeing behind him. But these guys in this group battle for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh altogether are not enjoying it as much as they could.
It looks like there's barely any fresh clay available at all around this place, and so they'll be winding the big T-tray wings back for a little bit more grip on the rear as they try their best to put some traction down. This is quite the fight, isn't it? Aston Hurley, Jackson Delamont, and Leo Heaton. These guys fighting for 7th place, and looks like joining the fight is Richie McLeod, who's continuing to work his way up here. Look at Richie and the blue and white machine. That's almost going to be another position gained here for Richie, who's now in the top 10 after starting second last.
And that puts him up 14 positions from where he started. That's incredible. And you just see behind him, Brenton Hobson's just there too. So they're both up double-digit positions. You can finish double-digit positions gained in a race, regardless of what race it is. You've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I definitely have. Oh, it's continuing here. Harry Stewart now fighting with Cooper Wilson. It looks like Clayton Davies has somewhere made the move. And so has Brady Baldwin too. They're both back into the top 3. And Stewart with his hands full right now, it seems. Cooper Wilson trying to attack him at every opportunity here.
And see cars that are slower, just trying to get out of the way, stay out of the trouble, and continue to lap on, because there's plenty of points up for grabs. It could be crucial come the end of this season. You can finish 18th with a couple of points. It's much better than a C main DNF or something like that. So getting every point you can is crucial. As this is battle, this is for top 10 positions. Leo Heaton's just lost it there to Hobson and Richie McLeod, but he's trying to get it back very, very quickly.
Yeah, now Hobson and McLeod are together. They both zip on past. And Leo Heaton classified 11th. There we go. It looks like they might have just gotten it done. Now they have to contend with a little lapped traffic of their own, as there was a slight bit of tapping there as they tried to make their way past Riley Bilson. Hobbo to the inside. Rapidly approaching 5 laps to go here, but Hobson makes contact with McLeod. And look who's coming to try and get the scraps. Leo Heaton as well as Isaac Roos.
A great fight going on with these guys, isn't it? This is a great battle. It only took us 20 laps to get to a battle, and now we've finally got one, and it's made it absolutely worth it. We're going to have to cut away because, right on cue, the caution's out. That's Harry Stewart facing the wrong way.
Oh no, of all people. Harry Stewart.
He was in
What on
third.
earth? Yeah. What's gone wrong for him? It looks like, oh dear, this might have been a bit of a desperate lunge by Cooper Wilson, combined with Stewart slowing down a bit too much on the high line. You'll see the number 11 grip up right as Wilson arrives on the scene, and they come together.
I reckon that's just a little bit of Harry Stewart playing the caution card, knowing that there's a lap car that they're going to have to try and work their way around. And as you said, Wilson was getting very, very desperate trying to get through and wanted that spot ASAP. Race controller, no doubt, looking at that one now. And we're going to start with 3 laps left in this race when we go green.
It's going to be a proper shootout, this one. Tim Ryan will be under more pressure than he's been pretty much the whole night if Baldwin and Davies have anything to say about it. Cooper Wilson as well. Well, we'll see whether or not race control gives him an end of line as a result of that, because he's moved up to 4th place as a result of that incident. Nathan Van der Wacker, meanwhile, looks like Van der Wacker, aside from Ryan and Baldwin, is the only driver to still be in his starting position of 5th. Meanwhile, here is the final green flag run, or what we hope is the final green flag run. Tim Ryan is just a consummate professional out there, isn't he? No mistakes, keeping the trajectory beautiful out there. And we get on to the 39th lap of this one. It'll be on for 2nd. Brady Baldwin and Clayton Davies will be fighting over that, and Cooper Wilson will be trying to get onto the podium in the midst of all of this. Final lap, final couple of turns, and this is what he wanted at Knoxville. Tim Ryan across the line to win the feature here at I-55. Baldwin and Davies ultimately complete the podium.
It took a few laps for us to get there, but when we got to it, what a fantastic night of racing we ended with. And congratulations, Tim Ryan. A thoroughly deserved win. Too good for everyone else in the field, but those guys in the mid-pack definitely put on a show for everyone.
Yeah, there was some great racing in that feature in between the cautions that came out. All in all, I think a pretty good night of racing, if a little controversial at times. So Tim Ryan will line up here for the customary photograph. That was very, very well lined up there from those guys, as Baldwin and Davies celebrate their podiums here. There are the final results from the night. Maybe not quite official. Race control might still have something to say about a few things, but on track it was Ryan, Baldwin, Davies, Wilson and Hurley, your top 5. Van der Wacker, Delamont, Hobson, McLeod and Roos rounding out the top 10. Brilliant drives from Brenton Hobson and Richie McLeod to get into the top 10 after starting on the back row.
Yeah, then the rest of the field finishes in the end were Braden Shute, Harry Stewart, Dunn, Heaton and Nick Ryan on the lead lap. Bilson we saw continue on and finish 1 lap down. Cameron De Bruin finished 2 laps down with Rob Crawley, Nathan Allen and Hayden Vickers all finishing the race but laps down in the end. And then the rest of the field who did not finish the race, Ethan Bastian, Clayton Tilley, who was pretty devastated with that incident we saw near the end at the halfway point, I should say. Sean Stevens and Daniel Boyd also did not finish. All of those drivers having all sorts of dramas tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge stuff for quite a few drivers here tonight, but particularly huge for Tim Ryan was victory here at I-55. Welcome back to the commentary box, Tim. We expected you here at Knoxville, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out for your last round. Back on track, literally and figuratively now.
Yeah, I sucked last week, didn't I, Reese?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that,
Yeah.
but still, I think a really good race from you here at I-55. Didn't seem like you were in much trouble the whole way through.
Yeah, in all seriousness, that Knoxville race last week was really tough. I rarely been in the car driving around just by yourself type thing, and that win was just a little bit silly, but that's what you get for trying to really push the most out of it. This race was a little bit hairy with lap traffic, and the sprint cars got the new damage model about 2 seasons ago now, so I think when I got squeezed against those lap cars against the wall, that hurt the car a little bit. But luckily, with such a small track, when there's so little grip, it isn't as hurtful as if the track's a little bit faster, and you really need to get the maximum out of the car.
Yeah, it seemed like the higher line was where you were most comfortable, though as the track evolved, it definitely looked like it was getting slippery up there.
Yeah, to be honest, the track wasn't too bad everywhere. I just noticed after those first few cautions that I needed to burn some fuel, and fuel's such a big thing in these cars. So early on, when I initially fueled to run the top, and then I noticed Brady was pretty quick at the start across the bottom. So obviously went to the bottom, and then that track heats up, and then I just really wanted to get up to the top, even though I felt comfortable through the bottom, especially through 3 and 4. You would have seen me running the hybrid line, running the top through 1 and 2 and the bottom through 3, 4. But I knew even losing a quarter of a tenth, it was better to get upstairs and just burn the fuel. Well, I had a little bit of a margin because with all these yellows, Brady was putting on some good pace, so I knew I wanted to burn the fuel. So if the caution came, the fuel stacked back up, that I had as little fuel as possible on board.
Yeah, well, ultimately it worked out well for you, and that'll be some good points for you heading into the next round of the championship. And if I have a look at
Lucas Oil.
the calendar, we go to Lucas Oil indeed for the next round. It looks like another pretty short and sharp track we're going to next week.
I'm going to unfortunately give that one a miss. The girlfriend's booked a holiday, so... Yeah, I'll be giving that one a miss, and possibly the week after as well. Got some driver coaching over East, so I'll probably going to do some of that during my school holidays. So I'll probably miss the next 2 weeks.
Okay, fair enough. Pretty big news there. Well, hopefully you enjoy your little getaway, Tim, and best of luck for when we eventually see you again. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, first off, I'd actually like to thank VRS. They gave me new wheel software that I've been pushing for, something in the back end that hopefully will be passed on the users pretty soon. It was really enjoyable, and it's just exactly what I've been looking for. So massive shout out to them. And then obviously ODSE Sports, our partners VRS, Logitech G, Racetech Seats, Cube Controls, and then obviously my setup business, Speed Factory. We had a strong showing tonight, and same with last week. I think we went 1, 2, 4 in qual last week, and then 2nd and 3rd last week, even though me and Sean binned it while we were towards the front, so not a bad showing.
Yeah, not a bad showing either. That's Tim Ryan taking the feature victory here at I-55, followed up by the number 7 of Brady Baldwin. Good race from you there, Brady. Held off mountains of pressure from the drivers behind.
Yeah, thanks, Reese. Certainly probably not a expectation of a result coming into tonight. Knew we had a decent car under us, hoping for like a top 5, and then we sort of got pretty good luck in the heat race. We just picked the right line there on the bottom and got the win. And then starting off the front, my goal was a top 5 and had pretty good pace, a little bit off Tim, but I think we had, Davies, Tilly and Harry covered in behind. So yeah, really good result. Knoxville didn't go well for us. Got into Delamont in the heat race and sort of screwed my whole night after that. So apologies to Jackson from that again. But yeah, really good result and really showed our pace tonight.
Yeah, that you did. Do you think you'll be able to carry that through to future rounds?
I certainly hope so. Lucky there's one drop round in the series, so hopefully Knoxville is my drop round and didn't even get out of the C main. So this will sort of help in points and not really racing for points too much, just doing it more for fun. I haven't done too much, ODSE racing before, usually, behind the scrutineering box and doing race control. So, taking any opportunity I can get to race and just enjoy myself with the boys. And, we've got an SSR 2-3 in that race, and Hobbo, done a masterclass from the rear to 8th. So really good signs from the whole team, and we're all trying to have as much fun as we can with it.
Yeah, definitely looks like it. Well, any partners and sponsors from that team you'd like to thank before we let you go, Brady?
Yeah, thanks, Reese. First off, obviously, thank you guys for, putting on the stream. Can't wait to watch it back tomorrow. Liam, Damo, and Glenn doing a great job in race control. They're getting better and better each night as they're working together. This is my first interview under SSR, so I'll try and get as many sponsors as I can. There is a lot. So Watercraft Performance Center, Parramatta Zozo Ute, Works Racing Components, DM Simtography, Speedway Shop, DGD Customs, and just everyone back at Synergy as well, with all the support from the the dirt lads having a bit of fun and all the way into the supercar stuff that I'm participating in. So a really good environment. I love being there, and hopefully we can get another result next week at Lucas Oil.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get another chance to talk to you. Brady Baldwin, thanks very much once again for joining us. Finally, third place on the road in the feature was Clayton Davies. After starting from 8th, Clayton, that looked like a pretty chaotic race from your perspective.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, what race isn't chaotic, to be fair? Like, the biggest power to weight ratio circuit or car goes in circuits on the planet, so if it wasn't chaotic, then it's not sprint car racing. But no, it was a good race. Like, it was chaotic, but like it just proved like the good guys up the front were putting on clean race, and like I had long battles with Harry and Cooper for a good 20 odd laps out of that 40 lap race. Like, it's just proves that when you get a good bunch of guys together, that once all the cautions are out of the way and everyone gets that craziness out of their system, that you can actually have some good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the track was definitely something with a part to play here tonight. This is one of the shorter tracks on the service when it comes to dirt, and high banking as well. It means that you can carry a ridiculous amount of speed around here.
Yeah, exactly. And Peebly in itself, even in the real world, is a chaotic track and high speed. Like, you're doing in qualifying, you're doing you're doing 9-second laps. Like, it's insane speed. So like, this place is renowned for wide racing, and I feel like this is probably where the best racing, in my opinion, is for these cars. That you don't have a wide track and a long straight to kind of get your momentum to pull away from dudes. You really have to pedal the car and push hard and know your craft to actually progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we go to Lucas Oil next round. From your perspective, how does that track compare to this one? What are your expectations for next week?
Expectations are always the same. We're always out to compete for a win. I just need to get better onto my qualifying game. Lucas Oil is probably one of my preferred tracks, just because it's not always who can bang the boards down the hardest. There is some finesse in the different lines that you can run. It's just more about patience. I'm after a little bit of redemption after round one. We had a lot of pace, and it just continued onto this round. So we're hoping that we can get this car up onto the top step. I feel a little bit let down after the last race, so I reckon we can get it done.
Well, here's hoping that we can have a chat to you again soon, Clayton. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone back at Discord first. Blaine, Casey, all the guys at Synergy Sim Racing. Still stoked that they brought me on board. Partner-wise, I'd like to thank Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Western Machine Shop, 27 Designs, ABR Setup Shop, CD Simtography, Atlantic Oils, you guys for putting on the broadcast, and Brady and everyone at ODSE for putting on the league.
Yeah, and we definitely send our thanks to everyone at ODSE for putting on this show in the first place as well. That's Clayton Davies, third place here at I-55. Well, Jay, I mentioned it, and here it is. Lucas Oil Speedway is the host of the next round of the 410 Thunder Series on the 5th of April. You can catch that at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, that's going to be quite the interesting one there, Jay. Always love a little bit of Lucas Oil in our lives.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I actually got caught out. I had to remake the graphic while you were talking to Clayton there because I forgot the daylight savings ended, so I had to quickly change that. But yeah, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in Western Australia or if you're in Queensland, just continue turning up as you have. If you're in New South Wales, Victoria, Tassie, South Australia, just adjust your times. And if you're anywhere else, just check it and try and work out. But the time doesn't change GMT, so that's the easy way to think about it. But as for Lucas Oil, this is going to be a fantastic race. It's been brilliant the couple of times that we've broadcast there at the end of last year, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. It's going to be a very, very fun one.
Yeah, indeed it is. Hopefully you'll all be with us and join us for next week's frenetic round of racing. Who will be able to come away with victory next week with Tim Ryan absent. Well, thanks very much to our series partners, Hobbs Trenching and Boring, FastPrint Signs and Apparel, DM Simtography, and Wash It Mobile Truck Washing, as well as a big shout out to everyone at Neuropower, doing everyone a great service there. I'm Reese Gardner. It's Jay Kennedy alongside me and bringing you these live pictures across YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, we say bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you tomorrow because we have plenty of broadcasts coming up over the next week. Make sure to subscribe to us for notifications on when we go live. Goodbye for now.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.